also right before a bye week. What do you feel like they've done, and maybe how much do you owe them?
Yeah, it's they've had our number the last couple of years. I think it just comes down to they were the more physical team that day. I mean, they're a disciplined football team too. That's really all football games comes down to is who's the more physical team, who's the more disciplined team. And I think on those two particular games, they were the more physical and disciplined team.
Is there a unique element to the challenge this week, just given that it's the 8th week in a row you've played? You've got a bye week after they're coming off a bye, or do you not give that?
I don't look at it like that. I think it could be a good thing in both ways. I mean, they obviously have some time to heal up, but it's also a good mindset for us that we got a bye week next week. Let's give it our all. Let's play our bodies on the line. We'll get some rest under us for the next week.
What have you learned about that as a veteran? Just how to manage the grind of a season? Maybe some advice for younger guys going through this.
Yeah, it's also a thing where you have to trust the coaching staff where you can give it your all every single week and trust them that they're going to take care of you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's also something that young guys got to realize that we also got to put in the work. We got to get the pads popping on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in order for us to be prepared to play a physical Big Ten football game on the weekend. But it's something as a freshman that it took a couple games for me to understand it's physical Big Ten football, and your body's going to feel like crap for a couple days. But you got to grind through it, and your body will feel right by Saturday, and you got to trust that the strength staff and the coaching staff is going to get you to that point.
Do you think there are some good things offensively that you did, especially in the second half against Michigan, that can be beneficial or fruitful for you now down the stretch?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we can learn from Michigan. I mean, it was a great building block for us. I was pretty confident going into halftime last week just because I felt like we had a lot in our arsenal and our play call sheet that we still needed to call. And rightfully so. We put up some numbers in the second half. And in that aspect of it, there's a lot of stuff we can learn from in the second half too. I mean, we had success, but we also had some blunders that we can learn from. So to answer your question, yeah, there's stuff to learn from that second half.
Well, how do you think what goes into getting shut out for 30 minutes in the first half, going into the locker room and feeling good about where you are, your ability to get some stuff done in the second half?
Yeah, it felt like I was on the bench, or the whole offense was on the bench for a long time in the first half. I just kind of the way the vibe felt. But when we had our chances in the first half, we didn't necessarily execute. I mean, there's some guys that missed blocks that would have sprung some plays for some big time plays, and that was just what I noticed on film this week in the first half. And it was promising to me that there's just a couple things missing from being able to execute at a high level even in the first half. But there's some things we work on this week. We all watch the same film, and they see the blocks they missed. I see the blocks that I missed, and it's promising to me that we can get that fixed this week for a tough opponent in Minnesota.
You might have just answered this, but what specifically did you learn from that game that you feel need to get addressed now for the remaining 5 games?
Just how important your hands and your eyes and your feet placement are against really any Big Ten team, but especially a team like Michigan. It's all that more important. Your hands and your eyes take you to your blocks, and if those are undisciplined, they're going to get around you and they're going to make some plays. And that was the biggest thing I learned about myself, and I think that's a lot of things that the guys around the team learned about themselves in the blocking game specifically.
That said, just 5 games left. I mean, how fast has this gone, and how much is that window closing and trying to get this corrected as you only have 5 games left to kind of figure things out?
Yeah, you're exactly right. There's not a lot of time left to do what we want to get accomplished, what we want to get accomplished this season. But all we can do now is take it one game at a time and click the reset button. Nothing that's happened in the past should affect us now. I mean, we're 0-0 right now, and Minnesota's the biggest game on our schedule right now, and that's this week, and that's the task at hand. And I like what I saw at practice today, and I think we're going to like our odds up in Minnesota this weekend.
You guys have hit that reset button so well, but how tough is it really? I know you guys talk about it, but I mean, for you, like Sunday morning after a game like that where it's that close, what's the challenge to getting to Monday where you're like, okay, I'm ready to move on?
Yeah, those Sunday mornings are really frustrating, but it's also making us more hungry to get it accomplished. It's making us more there's more will now that we know we're a really good football team. We just have to go and get it accomplished. Now we have to finish what we start. I mean, we're a 3-4 football team right now, and I mean, people have been reading. People call us the best 3-4 football team. Why can't we be the best, 5-1 football team or 6-1? I don't even know the math at this moment, but nothing that happened in the past is we can't change anything that's happened. So all we got now is try to be 1-0 after this week.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago, it's strange when you looked over and Bryce wasn't there. He pops back in. What did you see out of him, coming back, and also, whenever a guy gets demoted briefly, like the challenge of staying with it and then responding the right way?
Yeah, that's just kind of the guy Bryce is, though. He's not gonna sit and pout that he lost his starting job. He's gonna put his ears back and work. He pushed Teddy throughout these last 2 weeks, and Teddy still got the start, but Bryce was right there, and he was ready to go whenever his number's called. And unfortunate for Teddy, I feel bad for the man, but his number got called this week, and he stepped in there and did a good job for us. And it's just kind of picking up. He learned a lot of things these last 2 weeks, and he's gonna step back in there in that starting role. There's nothing he's not used to.
You've been waiting for one like that, like Saturday, where you just pop, wide open like that?
Yeah, that was a really good feeling. It wasn't so much of a good feeling when I watched it on film and we were in illegal formation, technically. I probably would have strangled somebody on the outside there if they got that called back, but it was really nice to get kind of the ice broken for this season. I mean, hopefully the floodgates are open now for more to come.
Minnesota's taken the last 2 games. Just what is it about that program from what you've seen, and just does last year's game get brought up at all with you guys?
There's a lot of stuff to watch. I mean, they're still the same disciplined, physical team year in and year out, and there's a lot of things to take from that game. There's a lot of the same matchups. I mean, they got some guys back on defense that are the same guys that we're going to play again this year. But like I said, they're physical and disciplined, but I mean, who's going to be the more physical team come Saturday is what we got to figure out this week in practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You've been teammates with Ramir Johnson for quite a while. What have you seen out of him just these last couple of weeks, and when did things start clicking for him?
Yeah, the biggest thing I've seen about Ramir so far is his willingness to take coaching. I mean, he's come a long ways in terms of a football player and in terms of a man and in terms of a leader on this team. He's taken strides. It's been evident in the games. He's been running really hard. I look forward to seeing what he can do this weekend versus Minnesota. That's all I can say.
What does that say about a guy who maybe wasn't atop the depth chart before the season, but he stuck with it, put in the work to get there?
Yeah, you could say that about a lot of guys on this team. Just because you're 2 and 3, 4 even on the depth chart doesn't mean your number's not going to get called. I mean, keep working hard, and when your number gets called, make the most of the opportunity. And I think that's exactly what Ramir did. He's come in guns blazing. I mean, he's smart too. He's really taken the time to stick his nose in the playbook, and I think that's become evident.
Anything else for Austin?